Well, let's see how many haters we can piss off today, huh? Okay, so what we're looking at here is a chart from back in the old days. Okay, so take a good look at this chart. This chart represents the percentage of miles that were traveled. Orange is horses, white is automobiles. As you can see in the very beginning of the 1900s, pretty much all miles were pretty much traveled by horses. Everyone was using horses and carriages. It was just what it was. I mean, it was the only way to get around, right? And then, as you can see, 5 years later, things started to change a little bit. The shift from horses and automobiles, started to make a little difference. Nothing obvious. No one really noticed. No one really cared. Everyone still thought that cars were a joke. Horses were the only way to get around. And if you thought that cars were going to get you from point A to point B, you were just some rich idiot. Well, then, take another look. 10 years later, the curve is starting to excel pretty quickly. You could see that more people started to catch on and realize, hey, you know what? These cars are actually a little bit better because you know what? They're not pooping everywhere. We don't have to keep killing this poop. And they're also not dying on us whenever they do or randomly, or who knows, running away or getting lost. Then, 15 years later, it was the complete change. 50% of people started using cars to get around. People started to just say like, hey, these horses are cool and all, but we're starting to recognize that, hey, this is the better option to using a car. And then things continued to go in that direction. So basically, 25 years later, it was 80% of people who were using cars. I mean, it took 15 years to go from horses to cars. The thing about disruption is that it sneaks up on you slowly. But when it does finally hit, it slaps. And as you can see from this chart, it was a complete S-curve. This is exactly what is going to be happening with cars right now and electric cars. Yes, that's right. We right now, people driving cars with gasoline are the horses. And the new technology, which is the cars, are the EVs. Trust me, a lot of people keep saying, oh no, that's not going to happen. Calling me stupid and making fun of me, but that's fine. I really don't give a crap. All I'm doing is just delivering the truth because the news is lying to people. They're outright lying to you. They don't care because you want to know why they don't care? Because the news is owned by automotive companies. Yes, automotive companies, the big car companies of America own the news. So they will tell you, hey, no one's buying electric vehicles. Keep coming back and buying our engines. But the truth is actually really there. There are cars lined up all over the place that are not being sold currently that are gasoline cars. Electric cars are taking off more and more. Just last year, 10% of the global sales of electric cars, 10% of global car sales was EVs. It was like 7 before that and 5. It's growing rapidly. We're not far away from the 50% point. Matter of fact, in China alone, the amount of new cars that were sold were electric, 50% of them. They're already at the 50% point in China. In America, it's still a little bit lower, but it's not far away. This switch is going to happen. Now, here's another photo. As you can see, Easter morning, 1900, New York City. That red thing that is circled on the left side is a car. Everything else is a horse and buggy. Just 13 years later, on the right side, same place, same shot, cars. No one is using horses. There's only one person in this picture with a horse. You're probably going to have a hard time spotting them. But this is the point we're trying to make here. Disruption happens fast. It doesn't happen slowly. A lot of people keep thinking that it is, but the truth is, it's going to slap us in the face sooner than we think. And like I said, automotive companies are lying to you saying that EV sales are down. They're going to keep saying this because they know that they're screwed. And they know that electric vehicles are going to take their business. Why do you think a lot of car companies are scrambling to make electric vehicles? Trust me, there's going to be people in the comments saying, you're stupid, blah, 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 blah. You don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. And that's fine. I get it. That's totally fine. People are allowed to have their opinions. But opinions don't matter when it comes to facts. Because facts don't care about your feelings or your opinions. So right now, major car companies are saying, you know what? Instead of just making electric cars, let's sell them hybrids. So take a look at this picture here. You see a horse with a car on top of it. Car makers are like, you know what? We're really, really good at making horses. That's what we're good at. But we see that people are starting to want cars. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a car, slap it on top of a horse, and call it a hybrid. Right. This is exactly the same thing that's happening currently. Major car companies are very good at making engines. They realize that people are starting to switch and want electric vehicles. So what do? They're going to take their engines and say, hey, let's just slap a battery inside there and call it a hybrid. Because we're really good at making gasoline cars. We're not very, very, very good at making all electric cars and know how to make them for a profit like Tesla and BYD and a few other car companies. So they're basically going to say to you, hey, instead of buying, an electric car, why don't you buy a gasoline car that has a battery inside of it? So it's kind of like an EV, and there you go. People are buying this up, especially if you're a loyal brand customer of, whatever, Toyota, Ford, GM, whatever it may be. If you're a loyal brand customer and you will not buy another car, you're going to just believe them at face value and say, hey, I'm going to buy this car because EVs aren't ready and here, and the technology's not there, so I'm going to buy something that's safe. Even though hybrids are more likely to catch on fire than an electric vehicle. I mean, literally, I just made a video about it the other day. People keep pushing back and saying that EVs are not going to take over. And you know what? That's what people who had horses said. They're like, there's no way that cars are going to take over horses. This is what we've been doing for thousands of years. And bam, look at us now. People, EVs are going to be taking over, okay? By 2030, I would not be surprised if 80% of new cars sold in America is EVs, electric vehicles, not hybrids. I mean EVs, because the price for creating EVs is going to become cheaper and cheaper. By 2028, I'm sure it's going to actually be cheaper to make an electric car than it is a gasoline car. The technology is getting better. They're figuring out ways to make them quicker and faster. And electric vehicles are already being pumped out faster than gasoline cars from factories. The trend will continue. And they're going to pass the cost savings on to the customers. For example, the cost of a battery inside of an electric vehicle is the most expensive part, which is why the car costs that price. But the technology is getting better. The price of creating batteries is going lower and lower. And when the price of creating the batteries drops, then the cost of the car drops. It's not because EV demand is going and people are like, we got to sell them for a loss. Other car companies are saying that, yes, but not Tesla and not BYD. Here, and one last chart, very, 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 very important chart. So, vehicle price versus the addressable market. Basically, this chart represents that whatever the price of car is how much people you can reach. And as you can see, any car that is $100,000, you're really getting 0 to 1% of the market. Once you go to a $75,000 car, you're still hitting maybe 1 to 2% of people who can afford it. But then once you get to 50%, you see it starts to rise a little bit. But this is where things start to take off a lot faster. Once you get to about 40, maybe 30%, $45,000 car, you start to get a little bit more up. But by time you can see, once you get to a $25,000 car, look how fast that line shoots up. Now you can sell vehicles. The addressable market is 50% of people. And the higher that chart goes means the cheaper the price is, which means more people can afford it. Once you get to about a $20,000 car, basically everyone can afford it. That's like 98% of people can afford the car. So this is what's going to be happening, people. This is why Tesla is going to be making a $25,000 vehicle. Because now everyone used to say EVs are so expensive. They're only for rich people. Blah, 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 blah. Listen, BYD, a Chinese company, already has a $10,000 electric vehicle. So just look at that. A $10,000 electric vehicle. Everyone can pretty much afford that. Why do you think Biden is trying to make it that China cannot sell that electric car inside of America? Because it will obliterate the American car market. Everyone will be like, why would I want to get a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 car when I can just get this $10,000 car that does the same exact thing? It's going to put major car companies out of business. And they're the only company that can make that vehicle at scale and make a profit. That's the difference. If other car companies like GM or Ford or whatever started making electric vehicles for $10,000, they would just go bankrupt way faster. So this is the point, people. Electric vehicles are coming. The shift is happening. And most people are going to say, I'm stupid and I'm wrong. But that's totally fine. I'm just delivering the truth instead of telling you guys lies. I'm just keeping it honest because major car companies are lying to you to make you believe that they're right and they want you to continue to buy their products because they have control of the news. They're going to tell you whatever they can to get you inside of their cars. Well, you don't have to believe me, but just stick around, keep watching my videos, or just keep watching the news. One of us is telling the truth, and we'll find out, won't we? Well, thanks for tuning in again. Be sure to tune in again tomorrow. I post videos daily about what's going on in the auto market, big tech, Tesla, and all sorts of things. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace. See you tomorrow.